Alright. Having some thoughts right now, so I'm going to let them be known. Alright, so, you know, I just showed you guys a picture out back, like not that long ago. Here, pull over. Not that long ago, and it was like total blue sky. Remember, it was like, I was saying wispies. Alright, look at this shit. I mean, it's straight fucking, it's pretty much, I mean, it's raining. I mean, it's not, I should look for a rainbow, huh? Anyway, my point is like these things, I'm sure some of them are like chemtrails. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying a lot of it, like, it's almost like they're just distracting us from understanding that what they're doing is controlling the weather. But what you need to understand is they can control the weather. And they're not really lying to us, I don't think, when they say that those things are condensation or something, you know, literally. But what it is they've just got us distracted, because honestly, if you can control the weather, you control the world. Because literally, like, seasons and temperature rises and drops and shit, it controls your mood. It fucking controls your fucking life, literally. It's crazy as fuck, dude. I mean, but really, that's like, that might be one of the fucking, because like, you know, when a president gets elected or something, they say, oh, he's gonna have the levers of power. The levers of power, right? Yeah, there's probably fucking actual levers of power. You know, the winds, the north, south, east, west winds, you know, they have wind, you know, who knows, dude? They can let wind in, they fucking, all they gotta do, here, watch this, check this out. And then, you know, fucking just whatever, dude. All right, love you.
Just a slight little interjection here. I just want to pay the audience mind to please read between the lines, okay? Step out of the box, okay? Open your brain. You don't even have a brain. Open your mind. Thank you. Oh, look at that. I was in the Navy. What a weirdo.
Dun 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 dun. Ooh 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 ooh. Dun 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 dun.
The world of tomorrow and the instruments of science which are shaping it may seem remote and fantastic, but yesterday's fantasies are becoming today's facts. How will these great advances influence and benefit our personal lives? Here in this film is an answer.
Just one more slight little interjection. I believe this video was made in 1959. Okay, thank you.
Sweeping through an eternal vacuum, through blazing heat and bitter cold, exposed to
Oh my
mysterious
God, bitter
radiation,
heat and sweating cold.
man-made
Jesus.
satellites
Look
circle
at that.
the Earth.
Look at that. See, this is where they got our parents right here, folks.
Traveling at
This is where they
fantastic
got our
speeds,
parents.
these eyes in
Oh,
outer
look at that
space give us
curvature.
knowledge for future
Fucking
exploration.
stare
And
hard,
also vital
retard.
information that
Oh,
will lead
look
to a
at
better
that
understanding
ball.
of one of nature's great forces, the weather.
What did he just say? What did he just say? The what? The what? The what?
It's all created.
This is where they got us stuck in a boot loop. a boot loop. There is no nature here anymore, son.
With awesome violence and destruction, the weather is one of man's oldest and mightiest adversaries. But in its ever-changing moods, the weather brings us
Can you read
beauty.
between the lines,
The weather
motherfucker?
gives us our daily bread. The weather makes possible all living things.
And what is that weather,
And the
motherfucker?
weather certainly influences our daily lives.
Hadoo, 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 hadoo. We have ears and eyes to see, motherfucker.
Yes, we have always been at the mercy of weather. When the weather is
Have
nice,
we always
are
been
happy.
at the mercy
If
of the
weather is hot and
weather?
muggy, we tend to be frustrated, irritable, and even criminal. But if the fog rolls in, we are apt to be depressed. Thunderstorms cause fear and apprehension. Icy winds and snow seem to slow us down. In trying to predict these capricious changes in weather, we sometimes resort
Listen
to rather
with your
questionable weather
ear balls,
forecasting
boy.
devices, such as an almanac, a crystal ball, a gouty leg, and the law of average.
April showers bring May flowers. When mule ears shake in a certain way, it means that rain will fall that day. If a spider you should slay, rain will fall within a day. It's a sign of rain and snow when the birds and bugs fly low.
It's a sign of bullshit when it's bullshit.
As the weather is on New Year's Day, for 30 days 'twill stay that way. As the weather is on January 2, for February and September the same holds true. As the weather is on January 3, so the last 3 months of spring will be. As the weather is on November 21, so the coming winter's one. So, as the coming winter has a New Year's Day, and if the fine weather holds its sway, the weather's bound to stay that way forever, ever, and a day.
Boot loop, bitch.
Well, no matter how we try to predict the weather, of this we can be certain. It will always be with us. To understand it, let's look into any ocean.
Another slight little interjection here. Notice these are all flat pieces of water. Thank you very much.
Here in this watery world, cool and calm as can be.
Oh, good.
Just
Get crazy.
But when the heat's on, the sun comes out. The rays, they agitate him, make him jump about. Well, he gets all shook. Look out, stand back. He's going to blow his stack.
Okay, I just want to say, if you haven't seen this,
The drill
watch it. If you
evaporates.
have, fucking
And
whatever, I
then
love you anyway.
He's joined by
Alright,
his
I'm
friends.
gonna be quiet.
They're together again. They float up high on the moist, warm air. We can't see them, but they're still there. They fly way up where the cold's intense, then back into droplets. They condense, and that's what makes a cloud.
And that's what makes a
But
cloud.
when too many droplets crowd a cloud, that crowded cloud, he cries out loud. That's the way we get the rain. Well, look who's here, the little drip again. Back in the puddle. Heat. Beat. Rise. Skies.
Eat.
And that's
Shit.
what makes a cloud.
Fucking suck. Dick.
This time those drops are blasted high. Still higher, still colder. Look at them fly. One turns to ice, another stick to it, getting bigger and bigger. Look out! I knew it. It's way too heavy. It's falling.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
The little drip's a hailstone now.
Jesus Christ, I feel like I'm in a fucking rave. What am I, 19?
He's back just where he
He's
was
back,
before.
right? In that
The
flat
whole thing's ready
water.
to start once more. This constantly repeating cycle of weather may seem capricious and without direction.
Boot loop, boot
But
loop,
throughout nature,
boot
there is
loop.
order. Weather is a constant blending of the basic elements: air, water, and sun.
Okay,
all
I'm just gonna
starts
shut the
with the
fuck up
sun.
now and let you guys watch this. I love
This
all you very
tremendous
much. See
white
you
hot
later.
ball of gas, 3/4 of a million miles across, supplies the power that drives our weather machine. The sun.
I'm
is a
sorry, I just should
gigantic
say that's a
atomic
real
furnace,
picture of the sun.
consuming
Thank you.
itself at the rate of billions of pounds of matter per second. Across its boiling surface drift mysterious spots. Solar flares surge in flashes of raw energy. Writhing, flaming clouds of incandescent hydrogen gas explode hundreds of thousands of miles into space. The sun is absolutely essential to life on our planet.
I'd just like to
Our
mention
Earth
here,
is
you are a
surrounded by
fucking
an envelope
retard
of
if
air.
you think you live on a spinning ball flying
Radiant
through outer
energy
space.
constantly
Thank
pouring
you.
out from the sun heats the Earth and its atmosphere unevenly from pole to equator, setting in motion broad flowing rivers of air. Wherever opposing currents of air develop, giant eddies and whirlpools are formed. These are traveling areas of low pressure in the atmosphere. The clash of these opposing air streams causes clouds to form and usually brings stormy weather. Between the areas of low pressure, there are eddies rotating in the opposite direction. Here, air pressure is high. This usually brings clear skies and fair weather. By charting their positions each day, weathermen can estimate the course they will take and the weather that will result. Keeping track of the steady parade of storms and fair weather requires the constant preparation of new maps. This is a never-ending task. Weathermen must construct these maps from a continuous flow of data that pours in from weather stations all over the world. In remote, isolated areas, in crowded cities, in high-flying aircraft, and in ships at sea.
So you can pretty much assume
Modern
that all these
weathermen
things are a
depend on
front
variety
for
of
controlling the
specialized
weather.
instruments to gather
Thank you.
information. They measure temperature, moisture, air pressure, and wind speed. Balloons carry instruments aloft, automatically radioing back information. New radar techniques locate and track storms. And modern electronic computers now play an important part in weather forecasting by their ability to store and rapidly process vast amounts of data. But today, we are just beginning to understand something of the forces behind the weather. Scientists realize they must search in many directions and ask countless questions. For instance, can future weather be predicted by looking at the past? Does the slow advance and retreat of glaciers over periods of centuries indicate cycles in the Earth's climate? Past records of bird and animal migration, or the migrations of man may furnish clues.
Oh, migration of man.
And even ancient tree rings give an indication
Did
of
he just say
wet and
ancient
dry
tree rings?
periods. The vast unexplored polar regions of the Earth pose another kind of question. What effect do these frigid areas, covering millions of square miles, have on the weather of the entire world? Auroras,
What an
the
absolute
ghostly
joke.
lights that flicker in polar skies, tell something of what happens when energy from the sun plunges into the sea of air
Negative,
that
Ghost Rider.
surrounds the Earth. Adventurous scientists are probing the atmosphere itself, climbing to incredible altitudes in their search for knowledge. New scientific tools are being used, rockets launched from balloons.
Before I
and
get
rockets
really
launched
pissed,
from the
I'm
ground
just gonna go ahead and
carry
quiet.
instruments higher and higher. Unfortunately, these flights last but a short time, and only a small amount of information can be obtained. But now we have more advanced scientific devices for gathering data continuously over long periods of time, not only from the atmosphere, but from space beyond. Artificial
satellites.
Satellites reach into the unknown with instruments that duplicate man's own senses. The eye of the satellite is a photocell or a radiation counter. Its ear, a tiny microphone. Its memory, a tape recorder. And its voice is a radio transmitter. Here, these instruments are placed in an actual weather satellite, designed to record the cloud formations covering the Earth. In this cross-section view, we see how all the instruments
See that
have been
cross-section
reduced
view?
to an amazingly compact unit weighing but a few pounds. Here is one of the electronic eyes of the satellite. This eye converts the light reflected from land, ocean, and cloud into electrical impulses. These impulses from the eyes are changed into electronic signals that are recorded by this tiny tape machine. Recording continuously for periods of nearly an hour, this incredibly small instrument remembers everything the weather satellite sees. Triggered by a radio signal from Earth, the recorder plays back the stored information in only 1 minute. These precious reports on the Earth's cloud patterns are received by specially designed stations on the ground. The radio signals from the satellite are now converted back to a moving pattern of light on the oscilloscope, and finally translated into a picture of the cloud formations the satellite has seen during one trip around the Earth. Today's weather satellites are small and are designed to do a limited job. However, they are the first step forward to larger and more versatile space explorers of tomorrow. These future satellites will be the key to precise forecasting and control of weather. Let us project our present knowledge with a little imagination and speculate on how satellites might be used in future operations from a worldwide weather center. This is the master control room. Electronic maps and view screens display up-to-the-minute pictures of the weather around the Earth. Every hour, reports are automatically received from all points at sea.
Yeah, highly
on
doubtful.
land, and in the air. 22,000 miles out in space, 3 robot satellites train their sensitive
3
television
robot
eyes
satellites
on
train
all
their
parts of
sensitive
the Earth.
eyes on the TVs. Oh, Jesus.
These pictures are monitored on viewing screens in the weather center. Here in the computing room, electronic machines digest the constant flood of information received from all stations. This is then translated into an ever-changing diagram of the Earth's weather. Forecasts for every sector of the globe are made months in advance.
What the fuck did he just say? Forecasts are made
Prediction
months in
charts have
advance.
indicated that a powerful hurricane will begin forming today in the Atlantic Ocean. The electronic weather map shows an intense storm system building up about 1,000 miles due east of Miami, Florida. The controller calls for a close-up satellite view of the troubled area.
Coordinates. Coco 526, Yankee 2.5.
Okay, controller. Coco 526, Yankee 2.5.
The characteristic swirling clouds of the hurricane are beginning to form. At sea, the waves anticipate the violence to come. The controller calls for a last-minute prediction of the hurricane's path. If control measures are not begun at once, the hurricane will smash across densely populated areas within 48 hours.
11 a.m. EST. A hurricane is forming 960 miles east of Miami, Florida. If control measures are ineffective, it will pass inland at Cape Hatteras in 48 hours. Control operations will begin within 2 hours, but safety precautions should be completed from Cape Fear, north no later than 6 p.m. tomorrow.
At Weather Central, the control strategy is mapped out. A ridge of high pressure slants across the eastern United States between two low-pressure storm systems. If these two storm centers are intensified, the high will build up along the coast, forming a barrier that will turn the hurricane out to sea.
Stand by. Now pulling in satellite number 1 for visual check of low-pressure systems L20 and L21.
The operator brings the satellite into focus on the two storms, one centered over Kansas, the other over Labrador.
Changing the northeastern low, L21.
With a touch of a button, the battle begins. On the ground, chemical cloud seeders begin to work the two storm areas. Robot planes seed the clouds from above. The storm centers over Kansas and over Labrador intensify as seeding continues.
Now changing over to Hurricane Center H8.
The fury of the hurricane mounts as 100-mile-an-hour winds lash the sea to a foaming frenzy.
All stations, Sector C. Activate Phase 2, Control Plan Delta. Set vapor rockets for 42,000 feet. Execute.
As an emergency measure, the controller calls for a salvo of vapor rockets to be fired ahead of the path the hurricane is predicted to take. These artificial clouds will block the sun from evaporating more water to feed the hurricane. The reports coming into the control center indicate that the diversionary cloud seeding over Kansas is now creating a flood danger. Specially equipped robot aircraft are dispatched immediately to release a high concentration of cloud seeding material into the fringes of the storm. Heavier seeding from the ground also helps to subdue the rain by spreading it over a wider area. The controller calls for another view of the hurricane, which has now moved closer to the coast.
Signal out on number 1 satellite. 10-minute interruption for correction. Have you anything else in the area?
Satellite station S1 is approaching area. We'll make contact. S1, this is Weather Central. Request video signal at grid coordinates COCO.
An emergency situation has developed. In an orbiting space station 1,000 miles above the hurricane, a crewman sends a temporary picture back to Weather Central.
Okay, S1, your video is R5S5. Thank you.
The hurricane has stopped moving toward the coast, but is still intensifying. It must be made to move northward and out to sea. This is a crisis.
Aberdeen Station. Activate multiple seeding rockets on course 117.
The controller decides to fire cloud seeding rockets just ahead of the hurricane, hoping to start it moving. Slowly, the hurricane begins to shift. All available forces have been brought into play. Now we can only watch and wait. After hours of tension, the turning point is reached. Latest reports indicate the control strategy is successful. At last, the high-pressure ridge has settled along the coast, forming an invisible wall of safety. The storm is over. The danger has passed. The hurricane has been defeated, turned away from the land, and left to spend itself harmlessly far out at sea. In the world of tomorrow, weather control will enrich and safeguard our daily lives. In the foreseeable future, we will conquer more than violent storms. We will turn the destructive elements of today into new sources of power, shaping the land on which we live. All mankind will benefit. Arid wastelands will be made green and fertile, and vast frozen areas will become productive. To this end, man-made satellites will probe the secrets of the skies. They will be our eyes in outer space.